weekend, and somebody knocks the door. Of course, my gentle heart, now office is closed, but I open with a smile. Okay, what can I do for you? Father, do you have a minute? And he tells me the story. He had a dream. He's been married for more than 20 years, but not in a church. Okay, he has 4 kids. John Paul II came to him in a dream, and he said to him, Michael, it's enough. It's time to get married in a church. New chapters, new steps, new challenges, and you have to remember God is always with you.
I think so.
And everything is a gift.
Yeah.
And everything is a gift. He was driving so close to us in this open Papa Mobile, and this atmosphere, I can't even describe this. That was like a Pentecost, I think. And I will never forget that. I can't even describe this, but that was something very special. For me, 11 years old boy. It was one friend of mine in this group. Everybody thought he would be a priest. He was the leader of this prayer group. He got married. And the 3 of us from this group went to the seminary. We all have a mission in this world, and only God knows what it is. Even if you don't know that, God knows already, and he will show you. He says, no, don't go back to Poland. They have enough priests in Poland. We need you here. But I say, okay, if I will stay, I can only go to Polish parish because I don't speak English. This book changed my life, I can say. And that's thanks to this priest who gave it to me when I was a priest already for more than 10 years.
Welcome to Coffee and Heaven podcast. My name is Kasia Intrieri, and tonight I have a very special guest, Reverend Father Ryszard Polek, pastor of St. Joseph Basilica in Webster, Massachusetts. And we are going to talk about something very close to many people's hearts, about vocation. Father, it's a pleasure to have you. I know you, I think so, around 12 years. I met you, your first priest, I think so, which I met when I arrived around 12 years ago here. So I am very honored to have you tonight.
Well, thank you for having me. Yes, that's true. At that time, I was the pastor at Our Lady of Częstochowa in Worcester, and you arrived to this parish. That was 12 years ago?
I think so, 2014.
2014. Yeah, times flies. Yes, and yes, and it was. I remember when you came to me first, and Father, we need to do Alpha. I went to Alpha in Poland, and this is a wonderful program for evangelization program. And you remember how was my Kasia? Nobody welcome.
No, Father, you are very welcome. You are very kind. I want to say you have very open heart.
So I wanted to say thank you, Kasia, for convincing me to this and to help me to open my eyes and heart to this evangelization in the church, which is so important now. And we know that.
Father, thank you for having open heart for so many people, because everyone who visits your parish, and I can share with you too that I was in some parishes in Poland and I visit here some parishes, and you have huge heart and you have a gift of hospitality. And I think so everyone who visited the parish when you were a pastor, the main thing what they were mentioning, that you have open heart, open old church, and open your house for everyone.
You should tell me this before.
Everyone was saying, and even we have amazing pastor, Father Thomas. We still miss you, Father. You are like our father. So, Father, what is your path? How does this happen that first you are a priest, and then how does this happen that you're born in Poland and you came to United States?
It's a mystery. I was ordained for the Diocese of Tarnów, your diocese, your home diocese. So we come from the same diocese. I was ordained in 1993. Can you believe that? 93. So it's 33 years. This is one of the most difficult words to pronounce for me. 33. I hope people will understand. I had like 4 assignments in Poland, 4 different assignments for different parishes. First was Dąbrowa Tarnowska, then Nawojowa, near Nowy Sącz, then Tarnów Cathedral, and then Mielec, St. Matthew Basilica, now Basilica, before St. Matthew Church. And after 10 years, I came here. I didn't plan to come to the United States at all. I was okay in Poland. After 10 years, every year, you knew what you were doing, what you will be doing next year. I was teaching in school, usually high schools. I knew the programs. It was good. I had good students, very good young people, open to to the good news. And then I get this proposal, this offer to come to the United States, to Orchard Lake, Michigan, Polish seminary, St. Cyril and Methodius Seminary. It's closed now, unfortunately, but at that time it was open. It was preparing priests. The seminary was preparing priests to serve mostly, that was the idea, in Polish parishes in the United States. And the priests, candidates from here, from the immigrants' families. Yes, but when I came there, all the candidates for priesthood were from Poland, not from here. All of them were from Poland. So we thought then, that was like 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, we thought this seminary fulfilled its mission because there's no vocation here. We had vocations here, but if somebody was called to the priesthood here, right, it went to the local seminary, not Orchard Lake in Michigan, here, local seminaries. Yeah, so I came to the seminary to serve as formation advisor for the second year students from Poland. I had many reasons that, and I didn't want to come at first. And I said to this priest who invited me here, I don't speak English. I'm good in Poland. I don't, but eventually I said yes. And my bishop in Tarnów said, yes, go. But he said something wonderful to me. Remember, this is your diocese, Tarnów. If anything goes wrong, you can always come back. That was so good to know that I can come back, that this is still my home. Yeah. But since I came to US, I stayed here. And after a year, when I fulfilled my contract in Orchard Lake, I moved to the Diocese of Worcester in 2004.
When you first time encounter Lord, is this was something implanted in your family when you were a small child, or this was some specific moment that you remember, like to have this relationship with God more personal way?
Yeah. So I grew up in a Catholic family. My parents were both Catholics, teachers in elementary school. And I have 3 brothers and a sister. We were always praying, going to church, taking the religion class. That was outside the school at that time, right? You have to go to this building near to church usually. So yes, that was like a average, regular Catholic family in Poland. But I think that I had some moments like later because, I think I'm very ordinary. I'm very like ordinary person, like ordinary. My life until my ordination, I think, were very ordinary. Even when I decided to go to the seminary, I was 25. No, I was 19 years old. I was a kid.
Old. Wow.
That's very young,
Yes,
right?
Very young.
What do you know about life? Nothing. Yeah. And you go to seminary. It's like this. It's like a boy and girl meet first time. They are very young, but they fall in love, and that's like a wow. Yeah. Right? Something, you don't understand this, but you go for it for some reason. This is a mystery. I like what Pope John Paul II said about the priesthood. When he was celebrating his 50th anniversary, he published this book, Gift and Mystery. Right? The priesthood is like a gift and mystery. I don't understand why I'm a priest. But I had that was when I was going to be ordained a deacon. That was the first time I think I realized what I'm doing. I was 24, 5th year in the seminary. And then I remember this moment at this mass ordination to the diaconate. And there is an act of penance at the mass, at the beginning of the mass, right? And something just struck me, like I almost cried. Like I said, God, what are you doing? Do you know what are you doing? You calling me to the priesthood? So the diaconate for me was much more like touching and emotional and an experience of God's presence. Encounter Jesus who comes to you and he says, yes, I need you, even though you are right. I need you for the mission. And then the ordination next year, of course, very powerful. You are a priest. You can celebrate the Eucharist. You can hear confessions. You can celebrate the sacraments. But this diaconate was much more powerful for me personally than the priesthood later. And then as a young priest, that was the second time, as a young priest, just after my ordination, that was the end of August, 1993. I was driving my little mały Fiacik. It wasn't mine though. I didn't have my car. I was just ordained. I had no money, but I used somebody's mały Fiacik. I was driving and I fell asleep when I was driving. I was coming back from Częstochowa and I ended up on the side of the street, just 1 mile from my rectory. I was tired. I fell asleep. And this little mały Fiacik was so damaged. It was night. I remember that people from the bus came to help me, to rescue me from this car. And I couldn't believe nothing happened to me. Nothing. Just a little something here on my... I was able to walk myself to the rectory. And next day, come back with somebody to help me to get this car on the, to the auto body shop. But if you see this car, you would say, there's no life there. I shouldn't survive. That was another time when I felt this, he's here. He says, Jesus, not yet. This is not your time. I need you for something. I need you for a mission. Okay? So that was the second time when I felt his presence. And I met him. I think he saved my life.
Before the story.
My parents, they don't know this. I hope they won't watch.
That it's the Polish translation.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Father, can you come back a little bit earlier to the moment when you chose to go to seminary? Something makes you to go to try, or this was something like you felt at some point some invitation or some interest about that?
Yeah. So I didn't mean to be a priest. That was not my dream or desire.
Okay.
No, I wanted to have a family. And my grandfather used to say that my younger brother will be a priest.
Really?
So that was kind of agreement in the family. He will be a priest.
Okay.
So he's married. He has 10 grandchildren now.
Oh, congratulations.
Okay. Yeah, I am a priest. So I started to feel like this calling, this gentle voice coming to me. I think at the end of third grade in high school, I was 17 years old, right? We had a group of friends in the high school, and we stayed because that was the high school with dorm. So we call it internat, right? And we had a good group of friends, and we used to pray together, like in May devotions, in Rosary in October. Yeah, so that was one friend of mine in this group. Everybody knew, everybody thought he will be a priest. He was the leader of this prayer group. He will be a priest for sure. He get married. And the three of us from this group went to the seminary. We used to go also together for kind of retreat, like a summer camp or during a school break retreat, especially with Capuchin fathers, Franciscan Capuchin fathers. So I thought I may be a Capuchin priest, but God had different plans. And so I felt this call, this voice. Even though I didn't want to be a priest, I said, okay, I will try. So I used to even say to God before, not me, but my son. I will send my son. But okay, I said, let's try it. I will go for a year and I will see if this is for me or no. When I went for a year, I ended up, I stayed.
So I think so from your story, it's encouragement to try. If someone feels some interest, just to go and try.
Yeah. And I had wonderful, on this retreat, there was a priest, Capuchin priest. He was wonderful. He could talk to him and he could give you some good advices too. He was amazing. He had this gift to gather this young man around himself, like 100 of us. Something amazing. So his example. Plus, don't forget, I am John Paul II generation. When John Paul II was elected as Pope, I was 10 years old. So he was always my Pope. I grew up with him, and many young men, we wanted to be like him.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was John Paul II generation, right? And at this time, I think in Poland we had a lot of vocations. That's because his example, his influence.
What was for you? What drew your attention to John Paul II and to you as a young man?
So I was 10 years old when he was elected, right? That was 1978. In 1979, he came to Poland with his first pilgrimage to Poland. And myself and my younger brother and my parents, we went to Kraków, Krakowskie Błonia, for the Mass he celebrated. I will never forget this. He was driving so close to us in this open Papa Mobile, open car. And this atmosphere, I can't even describe this. That was like a Pentecost, I think. And when the Holy Spirit came upon the apostles and others gathered in this upper room, this wind, that was such a thing, such a wind, such a atmosphere, like a wow. When this movement around the people, I will never forget. I can't even describe this, but that was something very special. For me, 11 years old boy, yeah? So it stays forever in your heart, this experience. And then I grew up with him. I was always like following his as a child. But then later when I grew up, right, you were always following. We were interested. What is he doing? What is he saying? So it's his approach to the people. He was the first non-Italian pope since, right? He started these pilgrimages around the world, meeting the people for Youth Day. And I was able to go to Częstochowa in 1991, I think, for my first world with John Paul II. I was in the fourth year in seminary then. So that was amazing experience too. He was always my pope, even though Pope John Benedict was wonderful, and Francis, and now Leo, but John Paul II is my pope.
So this is very interesting now in today era. Many people saying about mentors, coaches, and this is interesting that you can have someone so impactful on your life, but you don't know him like personally. You don't talk to him, but the example on so many people.
You discover him better maybe now. I discover him, or when he was still around, still alive. He wrote a lot of encyclicals, letters, everything. I didn't read them all, of course, but I have some which I like, which I love, and the language he used, very simple language, like especially this encyclical about the Eucharist. That's absolutely wonderful. Everybody should read it. It's very small, but it's wonderful. He says, what else Jesus could do for us? What else? What more he could do for us than giving us himself as a food for the journey? What more did he do for us? He gave us everything, right? Or the letter about the rosary, when he introduced this luminous part of the mysteries of the rosary, right?
Yes.
Very beautiful letter, and very simple language too. So you discover this kind of later. I have this big book with all his documents, but not all, but some of this from, but I have it on my shelf. I hope the time will come sometime to read it more.
So tell me also, Father, what makes you to come to United States? Did you request it, or this was like suggested by someone?
That was, as I mentioned maybe before, that was like God works his ways, right? You know this saying, you want to make God laughing, tell him your plans, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't want to come to US. I didn't speak any English. I was good in Poland, but this friend of mine, they needed help. And this friend of mine, he was ordained here in US for the Diocese of Norwich, Connecticut. He studied at Otter Lake. He was a professor there, and he was the dean of formation. So it's like vice rector. He's from Mielec, Poland. And we've met in Mielec when he was on vacation. And he says to me, listen, we need priests. We need Polish priests in Otter Lake. Would you like to come and help us just for a year? Because they didn't have like enough staff. They didn't have rector. So he was acting as a rector at that time. So I said, okay, I may try, but remember, you don't have to speak English. They are from Poland. Those seminarians, they are from Poland. So I have very good group of those candidates. I think, I'm not sure because I don't have contact now with them, but I know some of them, they are priests in different dioceses in the US. Because this seminary was connected with one diocese, but those priests from this seminary, they were sent to different dioceses in the US, whatever was the need, especially Polish American communities.
So basically you came just for 1 year.
For 1 year.
Apply to stay longer? Or
No, after 1 year, during my year, we received new rector. He came, I think he was from Newark, and he came with all his crew, like with spiritual director, with all this. So I was free to go back to Poland after this 1 year contract. But this friend of mine from Norwich, he says, no, don't go back to Poland. They have enough priests in Poland. We need you here. But I say, okay, if I will stay, I can only go to Polish parish because I don't speak English. Even though I took some classes, but that was not much. So he says, listen, in Norwich, we have enough Polish priests, but I know priests here in Worcester, just next door. I will call them and I will see if they need priests, if they need Polish priests. And he called Monsignor Czarnecki here in Webster. He knew him. And he says, of course we need priests here. And Monsignor Czarnecki talked to the bishop here. And I ended up first in Webster as associate pastor at St. Joseph Basilica, 5 years. Then I was transferred to Worcester as associate pastor first with Father Ted Stachura. And after he retired, bishop said, can you take over as a pastor now? And it's been 11 years as pastor. So altogether 16 years at Our Lady of Częstochowa. Yes. And it looks like I will stay here until I retire. Who knows? God knows, right?
Yes,
God knows.
So there was some coincidences and some people you met and they just invite you.
Some mysteries. That's why I say, I like this Pope's John Paul II saying, gift and mystery. Mystery. When you decide to be a priest, you need to be open for anything. Wherever God's, not only priest, I think, even though you as Kasia, I know you a little bit, okay? I know your story.
Yes,
okay?
It's like crazy. My story is really
Right?
crazy.
Okay,
Yes. I
so-
would never expect, and
Yeah.
I didn't see myself here where I am now.
I would never expect you will be interviewing me here.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a mystery. The thing is, we have to know and realize that we are in God's hands always.
Yeah.
He holds our life like this in our hands. So when I was teaching in high school in Poland, one of the lessons was I remember this drawing. So there was a big hand, and the man here with the flyer. There is no God. So this man was holding the flyer. There is no God, and God was holding his life at the same time, right?
Yes.
So that's what it is. You can say whatever you want. Even if you say there's no God, he still holds your life. And every breath, we are all, so we have to be always open and ready to accept wherever he sends us. I believe that many people, many immigrants here could share a similar story that they didn't
plan to be here. Yes.
Exactly.
I think some majority of us, I want to be in Poland.
Yeah.
From the moment I arrived here, so I want to come back to Poland.
Exactly.
And not because we don't like this country, but there is different culture, and we end up staying here to often end of the life, like saying even Alicia. So it's very interesting how God is working. And I feel like also God is, especially in immigrants' lives, people doing some steps, they don't think so far away. If probably if someone told them in the beginning what will happen later, they will be scared and they will not do a step. But God was using everything, even the mistakes. There are different life circumstances, and even the mistakes of people God used for His glory on the end, for those who turn to Him. So this is very interesting. And in the past, I kind of was thinking that I understand the life, but being here, I feel like I don't understand nothing.
That's true. It's always a mystery. It's always a mystery, and it's always His grace. I mean, and that might be because you asked me about those moments of encounter, right? Although there's one more. One of the priests there, he was the spiritual director. We had a good relations. I like to talk to him a lot, and he helped me in my journey. That was like he gave me the book to read. Wonderful book by Tadeusz Dajcer, The Gift of Faith. Rozważania o wierze in Polish, right? And I think this book changed my life too, because there is something I remember from this book. I'm not a reader. I don't read a lot of books, but this book, okay. So there is he quotes Saint Teresa of Avila, I think, that everything is grace.
Yes.
Everything is grace, and everything is gift. Whatever we experience, whatever we have, whatever we receive from God's hands, is like a talent from this gospel story, right? Of talents, and God really cares what you do with this talent. And he says that everything is gift, everything is talent, even those difficult moments in your life, those crosses and difficult experiences in your life. This is all gift and grace and talent. And you can waste it, or you can invest it, multiply, and you can make something good out of it.
I remember this book.
You remember that?
You gave to read.
I gave it to you because I gave a lot of copies.
Yeah.
I gave out a lot of copies of this book. Yeah, it was translated to I think 40 languages.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, this priest he died. Tadeusz Dajcer. He was a spiritual director and professor of spirituality in Warsaw.
I think I have to read this again because I feel like for now I will be.
It's very helpful. This is actually this kind of book. You don't read it once. You go back to this. You want to go back, underline, and cross, and you want to do that. Yeah.
So if you have access, what was the title in English?
In English, Gift of Faith, by Tadeusz Dajcer, because there is more books under the same titles. You can find it on Amazon, I think.
Yeah, I will try to attach maybe to this video. This
of
book,
faith.
Yes.
This book changed my life, I can say. And that's thanks to this priest who gave it to me when I was a priest already for more than 10 years. So there is not like you are ordained, you are good to go, and you know everything now. No, you don't know. You know nothing. The only thing you know that you have to learn more and more and be open always for the new chapters, new steps, new challenges. And you have to remember God is always with you.
I think so.
And
This
everything
is
is a
the
gift.
key. Yeah.
And everything is a gift.
And I think so
And-
this is the key. And also what you mentioned, Father, to at least try, like you
Mhm.
entered the seminary, you didn't
Right.
plan, you didn't have this like desire from the beginning. Some
Mhm.
people maybe have, but I think also this is rarely with
Mhm.
us. Even where I am in life, I
Mm.
feel like God lead us step by step. And probably if you see all your path from the
Mhm.
beginning, maybe you will get
Mhm.
scared. I don't know.
That's true.
And tell me, also, I think it's huge challenge for you because one thing to being a priest, it's difficult. But the other thing is being a priest in two different cultures, and
Mhm.
very often in one parish have people from two different cultures.
Mhm.
And we were talking just
Mhm.
before the recording about you need to do everything twice time.
Yeah, you do everything twice. In the Polish America, we are happy here, like Our Lady of Częstochowa, of St. Joseph, we have there are two languages, only two languages. If you ask Father Kleber at Holy Family in Worcester, right? They have how many languages? I think 4.
I didn't know that.
English,
Wow.
Spanish, French, Creole, and Brazilian, Portuguese. 4 languages. So that's the challenge. That's the challenge. We have 2 languages, but even 2 languages makes things more difficult because, like we said, we do everything twice. So I have this feeling like, on one side, these parishes, my parish, Our Lady of Częstochowa, were founded by Polish immigrants to serve Polish immigrants coming from Poland, right? So I kind of recall this words of Jesus, you are sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Those Polish immigrants, right? But now we don't have any new immigrants from Poland, right? Nobody comes here anymore.
Yes,
You are the last one.
Yes,
Right?
I came 2014.
2014, so I think you are the last one.
I think so already before me was no many people.
Not at all.
Yes, because in Poland the
Right.
conditions are really good right now.
In Poland, you have America now. So there is no new immigrants. I even see the families going back to Poland, right? Returning to Poland.
Yes.
Like few families from Worcester, they came to me. They say, Father, goodbye. We are moving back to Poland.
Yes,
Right?
I know some of them.
And today or yesterday, I said goodbye, but they moved to Florida, not to Poland. You know them, Marcin and Asia, right? They moved to Florida. And I said to them, listen, it's such a young, beautiful family, and we cannot afford to let you go. Because we need you here.
Yeah.
But hey, that's life. That's God has plans. And yes, so there's no new immigrants, and we have to like now be very open and not only focus on Polish immigrants, although we were called and built and founded to serve Polish immigrants, right? That was because we have American churches all around, but you have only one for Polish immigrants in that town or city, right? But still, if we remain closed only to Polish immigrants, our churches will close very fast because there is no new immigrants.
Yeah.
Right? So plus the next generations, another generations, those young children and young people, even though they were born in Polish families, but Polish is their second language now. English is their first language. So even though we don't speak English very well, we struggle with our right, but we have to be more open to English. And that's why I think Kasia is doing this podcast in English.
Yes, I see that and I understand that. And even on the alphas, we met some children of our friends from church, and they were mentioning that now I understand what's about God and all these rules because they speak perfectly Polish, but what I have a sense, they don't have this understanding of the faith and the deeper understanding the religious words to understand and to apply this to the life, because mostly what they speak with their peers, it's in English.
And I think this is wonderful what you started to do when you founded this. I was the co-founder.
Yes,
Unity and Mercy, right? And you invited a lot of English-speaking people. And that's very important because they can do much better than we can do.
Yes.
Speaking to those young people, especially in English, in their language. Because we will never do that way. We can try, we can do our best, but it's still, this is our second language.
Yes.
And even though we can communicate, we can speak, but we still pray in Polish, right? Do you pray in Polish or in English?
Now in
I
English,
pray in
because I
Polish.
have a husband, so I
Oh, yeah,
do
that's
my
right.
best. I'm trying to read the Bible
That's
and
right.
more
More in
in
English.
So I see
Okay.
myself more in English.
I tried my briefly in English when I came here to US. Didn't work. I had to go back to Polish.
Always
Maybe I'm too lazy.
now I have a husband, so I have to.
Right, you have to. You have no
I don't have
choice.
no choice.
Right,
It's too
right.
late.
Exactly, you have no choice. But I think many of our people here, those especially born in Poland, even though they speak English, I understand, but they pray in Polish. They want to come to Polish Mass. They want to go to confession in Polish because they can express themselves better and they understand Polish. They think that way. They grew up with this, right?
Yes.
So that's why we still need to have this Polish ministry here, language in our liturgy, right? In here, Polish Masses, Polish, so people have this option. And as long as we have Polish priests, we can do that.
Yes.
Polish-speaking priests.
Yeah. Yes, this is fully true. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my question for you, Father. If someone right now watching it, it's maybe not attract to priesthood, but some thoughts coming maybe during the prayer time that they want to something more. How we will encourage those people? What you will say to them? What will be next step for them to do?
So what we see in these days now, we see many what we call late vocations to the priesthood. Right? Start their career, they go to college, they start their career, the jobs. And I especially remember two priests from our diocese. They were ordained not that long ago. And I know them because they spent one of their summer assignments as a seminarians at a radio of Częstochowa. So one of them was accountant before, they worked as IT, something many years before he discovered I feel that I am called to be a priest. So even though you don't feel it now, that this is go to college, go get your job, take your time, think about it, God will let you know at some point. And God is love, right? And he knows us better than anybody. He knows everything about us, right?
Yes.
He knows our past. He knows our future. He knows where we are now. So he has the whole picture. He knows everything. And as a good father, he wants what's best for us. Like parents, they always want what's best for the children. So God wants what's best for us. And he will let you know at the right moment. He will pick the right moment to let you know that this is your way. But go, as I said, finish your studies, get your job, just pray, read the Bible. You don't have to do anything specific, anything like, don't go crazy about anything. Just be normal, right? If you feel that you like something more, hey, come and join the Bible study group, for example, right? You can contact Kasia about the Unity and Mercy Ministry. She will explain it to you. We have, at our radio of Częstochowa, we used to have Divine Mercy, but that was in Polish, right? We had Bible study, Polish and English, right? So there are some opportunities, Metanoia group or Alpha. So we have some options. We have some offers for the people. But even though you have no time or you think you want to just do it yourself, fine. But be always open. Be always open for this call from God, from his message. Be listen. And I think what's important sometimes, living in this world full of noise, all kinds of noise, try to find some quiet moments, right? Some quiet moments. Like adoration, praise and worship, wonderful. But even quiet adoration, right? Like in Webster, we have this chapel of perpetual adoration, 24 hours, right?
This
in Webster.
In Sacred Heart.
Sacred Heart, yes.
I love this
across the street. So just quiet, and you may say adoration, quiet. I don't feel anything. It doesn't look like I get anything out of it. Maybe this is just a waste of time. No, it's not. I like this this story. Somebody said, when you go to get the tan, right, on the sunshine on the beach, and go on the beach, it's like wasting time laying down on the beach and nothing happens, nothing, right? But when you go back home and you see yourself in a mirror, you say, oh, where is this tan from, right? So when you are in a quiet place for your prayer or adoration, this is not a waste of time. There's always something happening in your soul, even though you don't see it at first. You will see it later. At the right moment, at the right time.
Yes, it's so beautiful. And I will ask one more question. So when you were deciding and making decision, do you have some guidance from somewhere or your friends to encourage you to go to seminary, or you talk with your parents? How did this happen that you did this first step?
With my parents, I have this agreement that I will go to medical school, but never happened. I'm in a medical field, but spiritual. So I remember I had one maybe when I was in 8th grade in elementary school, and I went to confession once, not only once, but this particular time, this older priest, he's dead now. And I remember that he said, I remember that, 8th grade, he said to me, I think you may be a priest. That was something, wow. I never thought about it, but since he told me this, I said, it was kind of, maybe he planted the seed. So I think it is important when you see somebody, when you, like you with the friends, and you see he could be a priest. Maybe you should tell him this.
Okay, interesting.
Maybe you should ask him, have you thought of that? About being a priest? Well, who knows, right? Maybe that's the... And then when I was growing up in my parish, we had a wonderful pastor who had this gift of, again, gathering of young people around himself, and at this time, I remember we had like small church, small parish, small village in Poland. We had 5 seminarians. This pastor had 5. I was the oldest at the time. Then I had 4 younger. That was, for some time we were together in a seminary, but not all in diocesan. We had 3 religious priests, and 2 diocesan seminary. So 5 of us. So this pastor, I think he had this gift to show us the priesthood, that we wanted to be like him. And as I mentioned in my high school years, right? This retreat with this Father Józef Mizera, Capuchin, I remember his name, Capuchin priest. He was also amazing, and he played a big role in my vocation. Otherwise, I was just a regular, normal, average young man who wanted to have a family. Hey, God had different plans.
Is there something what surprised you in the priesthood?
When I became a priest, there was, it's been now many years, 33 years. I think there was one thing which I didn't realize, that like listening confessions can make you tired. And I was a young priest in Poland before Easter or Christmas, in big parishes, like in Mielec, this parishes, Holy Spirit Church. We had 2 full days of confessions. And you start in the morning, you have 2 hours, then 30 minutes break, then another 2 hours, I think, then the lunch break, and then again 2 hours, and then 30 minutes break. After 2 hours of listening, hearing confessions, you get tired.
I'm not surprised.
You need break. And sometimes people, Father, you leaving? I mean, they don't understand. People don't realize that doing nothing, you can get tired.
So this is not doing nothing. It's like hearing not optimistic thing, delicately saying so many hours.
So that was surprising, because I didn't know that you can get tired in a confessional. You can. Huh. I think there was more moments like this, but I cannot just recall anything else right now. Maybe something will come up later. I will tell you. But that was big. That was big challenge and big surprise always. This hearing confessions, and because you try to be always like very attentive to what people say, right? And because you try to help. And as a young priest, I remember that was I think many young priests have this feeling when they were ordained to the priesthood, and now you say, right now I will go, and now the whole world is under my feet, and everybody will convert to the faith now, because I will go and preach the gospel with such a power and strength, and then you realize, you are not strong, not yet. Hey, take it easy. You need more patient. You need to be more humble before God, right? It's not you. It's not about you. It's about God. That's his priesthood, not yours. You are his messenger, yes, but that's his church, his priesthood, his world. It's not you. You are not the greatest star in the world today. That was another surprise, maybe, that you had to realize that it's not that easy. It's not that easy. Even though in Poland, it was because almost 100% people were Christian Catholics. When I was teaching in high school in Mielec or Tarnów, 100% or 99% of my students, they used to come to religion, although it was optional. Yeah. I had one girl in one high school. She was a Jehovah's Witness, and she used to come to my class, although she didn't have to, I think. She used to come to my class, and she was asking very, very interesting questions. She was wonderful. And then I gave her the good grade, A. And then her parents had a problem with that, and they came to the school to complain. Why this priest? But she was wonderful. She was wonderful. And I couldn't, why not? She was always active.
Yes.
Why not? Why not? Yes. So that's what it is. Poland, almost 100% Catholics or Christian Catholics was easy. Now it's different. I know it's different because I meet with my friends, priests, younger priests. I see them. It's difficult now, more difficult, especially in schools with young people asking difficult questions. You have to be very patient, and you need to know how to answer their questions. And when I came here, that was like a kind of experience when, let's say, you celebrate a wedding or funerals, and especially weddings and funerals, because for this kind of celebrations, you have all kinds of people in a church from different backgrounds, different faiths, and you see they don't know how to behave in a church completely. They know nothing, especially those non-Catholics. Or I'm still grateful that they come, that this young couple, for example, they requested the mass, the wedding in a church. Wonderful, and I understand they have nothing to do with those guests, with their guests, friends. They're not Catholics. They don't know. They don't know. They simply don't know, right? So I see there is still room, there is still great need of evangelization. When I see all these people who don't know, they don't know the good news, how to reach out to them, Alpha, but how to invite them, how to make them so. And all these evangelization efforts we see now in the churches, like Divine Renovation, right? Like Alpha courses, like Unity and Mercy. That's wonderful, but it's still not enough.
Yes,
That's still not enough. The harvest is abundant, but so there is still need. There is still a need. And this is what kind of think about a lot now when I see all these people. I had this experience the other day when I had a wedding in a church, and that came to me with such a strong feeling that, wow, there's so many people who don't know.
Yeah, this is amazing that we still.
And that's not their fault sometimes.
Yes, we don't share that.
But on the other hand, we have the situations, but that's that's not like a massive conversions, but still every year here in the United States we have those before Easter, right? We hear how many people are coming back to the church. In our diocese this year for Easter we had like 400 people. 400 in our diocese. That's a lot.
I believe God is doing something, because everywhere on the world they mention that.
In France, 21,000 people. So God is not dead.
Yes, God is doing something. God is preparing. And it's interesting how God is touching those people. Sometimes through dream, sometimes through internet, they watch something.
You mentioned dream, right?
Yes.
You know the story of Michael from Worcester?
You can mention, Father, about that.
I think I said this sometime. But Michael, that was Saturday morning. I was still in Worcester Saturday morning, and I was doing something in the office, preparing for weekend, and somebody knocked the door. Of course, my gentle heart was, now Saturday morning, office is closed, but I opened with a smile. Okay, what can I do for you? Father, do you have a minute? I would like to talk to you. Come in. And he tells me the story. His name is Michael, and he had a dream. He's been married for more than 20 years, but not in a church. Okay, he has 4 kids, and he had a dream. John Paul II came to him in a dream, and he said to him, Michael, it's enough. It's time to get married in a church. And his wife is not Catholic, not baptized, and his question was, how it is possible that I can get married in a church? Michael, that's very easy. Do you want this married tomorrow or what? When you want to get married, are you ready? So 2 weeks later, he was married. 2 weeks later, because when they are married, and they were married by, in a city hall, so we just do the validation. If there is no other problems, obstacles, you just need to request the dispensation from the bishop, which is sometimes it's very quickly. And especially when they live together for 20 years, 4 kids, we just want to bless them, and that's it. And so he can have peace in his heart and receive the sacraments, and he was married. I think 2-3 weeks later, I think remember. Wow. He was so happy.
So beautiful story. But you also have a hand to this. I feel like there is a lot of people with difficulties, or people who have never have a marriage in the church, but they were living with each other. Example of Malvina last I did an interview with her, and this is so beautiful how God is touching through you.
Michael was her husband. Michael was I saw him at the door. after masses sometimes. I see this young man, he wants something from me. I don't know what it is, but he looks like he wants to ask me something. And then after one time, I think he eventually came and he told me his story and can I get married, Michael? It's simple.
So nice,
Yeah.
so beautiful. And
God is good.
God is good.
God is
yes.
simple. We make life complicated.
This is so true.
We
Father.
complicate everything. God is very simple.
And this is so interesting because sometimes it's so many discussions right now on internet. If this is the rule, if we can do, if we cannot do, of course, it's important to follow the teachings of the church.
Of course.
But in the situation like you mentioned, Father, yes, what Jesus would do.
Yeah, exactly.
What Jesus would
do. And I'm very grateful here to Monsignor Padoni. He's our vicar general. He's our I cannot remember his title, but he's the diocese for the tribunal. So when I had first case like this here in the parish, I called him. What I'm supposed to do with this? Coming from Poland, this is different world here.
Yes.
In Poland, we didn't have such a situations back 20 years ago or 30 years ago. But now probably they may have similar situations now. And he was very, very understanding and he was very, listen, if there is no obstacles, if there is nothing, if they've been together for so long, if they have children, just do what you need to do, those forms, everything, make sure everything is right. And just marry them, bless them. He was very...
Yeah, this is a special person. I have opportunity to meet him,
Oh, yeah?
so he is very, very special priest with the real Holy Spirit.
Yeah,
like
with the heart of
Jesus.
Yes.
Heart of Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah. Father, what is the difference between waiting for God's answer and delaying some decisions? Because I think so this is very similar thing. We can delay something or we wait for the God. If someone is battling, when it's the time to act and when it's the time to wait.
I think this would be different in every case. Like in my case, I didn't want to delay it. I said, I will try right away. I will go to the seminary and I enter the seminary with this intention to make sure it's not for me, that this is not for me. I wanted to convince myself this is not for me. And God did opposite. He said, no, this is where I need you. But sometimes, like those two priests I mentioned, they are now ordained, Father James and Father John, and they were waiting kind of like 15 years, the other one 18 years, working, searching, listening, praying maybe, and they never married. And they ended up in a seminary. So I think this will be different for each individual man. So I don't think there is one like recipe, like one answer to this question, because we are all different. We are all different. Our life is different. Our relation with God is different. Our background, our history, it's all different, right? So we are. But what's wonderful, even though we are different, God is always the same, and He's always part of our history. He's always there, and only He knows when is this right moment. He wanted me right away, but He may want somebody else later. Like Father John, who was an accountant for many years. He now serves for the diocese as this fiscal office because he has this background, he has this experience, he knows. So he is now vicar for this finances of the diocese. I couldn't do it. I was called to different things, right? So I believe that we all, even though you are not called to be a priest or religious, you are always called. We all have a mission in this world, and only God knows what it is. Even if you don't know that, God knows already, and He will show you.
Yes, this is full of hope message. Yeah. Last question, Father. What is the most beautiful thing in the priesthood?
Right. It's the older you are, the more you see, I think, this beautiful moments in your life. But it's every time when you are able to help people, either through the confession. I mean, I know it's not you, but it's God, because when you hear confessions, when you speak to the people, I know it's not always you, right? It's always it's God, but you feel this. God gives you this feeling, and somebody will thank you for something, right? So then you feel, or those moments when you have these people who come to you with complicated life, and you have this time to listen, just to listen sometimes, and they feel better after that, and you can help them in some way. I don't know. I can't even describe this, but you can feel this, that this is beautiful. You feel like you are needed, So I think those moments when you, of course, I'm talking about people, but I should start with this, with what you are called to do as a priest first. This is Eucharist, of course. This is the Eucharist. And when you prepare children for the sacraments, for the Eucharist, right? Or for confirmation. I was teaching this class for confirmation this year, 15 of young people. Wonderful people. I mean, I wonder how many of them will stay in the church now, right? We'll see. But that was my first year here in this parish, and I think I can say that there was something between us, like some kind of relation, that we found this language, common language, even though my broken English, I could maybe, So you feel that you are needed. If I would like to move to Florida, I said to Marcin, Marcin, let me know if they need Polish priests there. To myself, if I leave for Florida, let's say, who would be here? Not that many of us. So you feel you are needed.
Yeah.
And I think this is important, to feel that you are needed and you can do something for the people. And I was even in today's gospel, right? Even the cup of water.
Yes, yeah.
Right? Kubek zimnej wody nie pozostanie bez nagrody. Will not remain without reward from God. But we do it for the people. We can serve the people only when we love God first. God has to be first. That's what Jesus says in the gospel.
Yes.
If you love your parents, your husband or wife, your children more than me, you are not worthy of me, right?
Yeah.
So he has to be first in our life.
In every vocation.
In everything, right? Priesthood, your life, married life, he has to be first. I like to say it sometimes to when I celebrate marriage. I had 2 weddings yesterday. That was a beautiful day, 2 weddings on one day. And I like to say to these young people sometimes, for the successful marriage, we need 3 people, husband and wife and God. And God has to be first, right? Because only when you love God, who is love, you can love others. He is the source of his love, and he is source of our love. You can only love your husband in good times and in bad, in sickness and in health, all the days of your life, only when God is first in your life.
Yes.
Because this power comes from him, right? That's what I like to, this is my joy to remind this to the people sometimes. It's like reminding, because we know that. I think we know that. We all know that. But it's like, we need to be reminded some important things. It's like parents, they remind children all the time something. They take care of yourself, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes children, they don't want to hear it anymore. But mom or dad will tell this again and again and again. And God is reminding us some important things all the time, again and again, because we keep forgetting things.
Yes, yes.
And it is easy to forget that he is first, he is love, and everything else comes later. God has to be first. That's and my other joy as a priest here, coming back after 20 years, more than 20 years, back to the same parish, right? Because in 2009, I came to Worcester. From 2004, 2009, I was in Webster, 5 years. Now I'm back in Webster. You know what is my great joy now? It is to see the children I baptized 20 years ago. And some of them are in the church. That's wonderful. And they come to me and, Father, you baptized me 18 years ago, 20 years ago. So that's my joy too, to see those children, to see the parents in church after 20 years, right? So that's good sign.
Yes.
That's my joy. But but my first joy is that I'm able to share the good news with the people, because we need that. All people need that. Even though people here, they have everything or almost everything. We go for beautiful vacations. We have beautiful houses like yours. We have everything. But still, we need to be reminded that this is all from God.
Yes.
And this is all temporary.
Yes, I think so. This is the most important thing, because whenever we do in life, if we would do good thing, we sometimes our mind get wrapped around some stuff, building the house,
beautiful cars, everything,
or sometimes even good ministry. The relationship with God, it's first. Everything is temporary.
Everything is temporary. Everything. God is
Husband's
eternal
wife.
and heaven, but
Mhm.
everything else not. So we need somebody to. So I think that's our role as a priest, to go and preach and remind the people. Listen, it's all temporary. It's temporary. Don't lose your goal, which is heaven.
Yes, this is
Mhm.
true. Thank you, Father, for reminder for all of us.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for all this discussion and sharing your journey in life and your heart. Thank you, Father. And I hope this episode helped maybe some of you to learn more about discovering vocation. And if you liked the episode, like and follow for more. Thank you.